Hello folks, Jeff Jackson, your cropland alfalfa and forage specialist, coming to you today. So I get a lot of questions every fall about when do we stop cutting alfalfa and how does it impact the plant if we do or if we don't. So let's do a little plant physiology first. So if we take a plant like that and we cut it and it's 3 inches tall, where does the energy come from to make that plant grow? Well, it comes from that root right there, that crown area, and the root is the fuel tank. So when that thing gets cut after it's been that tall, and this is a little bit over mature for most of us, but understand that the leaf material builds energy that's stored in that root system. So at this point and at that point, you have a big gas tank, right? All right, so we cut the plant there. Most of the energy comes from the root system, so we got to get that plant growing. As it grows more leaves and as it gets about 8 to 10 inches tall, maybe 8 inches, now we stop using energy from the root system, and it has enough leaf material that it can make photosynthesis to store carbohydrates in that root, and it can start storing again once it gets about 8 inches tall. So when should we stop cutting the alfalfa? The real magic answer to that is, can you tell me when the first hard frost is going to come? So you need enough time from the time you cut it that it has time to store energy and get plenty of energy stored. So at this point right here, 8 inches tall, that root system is going to be about as empty as it gets. So it's going to have a small gas tank because it's used all that energy to get 8 inches tall. Between here and there, by the time it's 20-some inches tall, we have a lot more leaf material, a lot more time spent. We can photosynthesize better, store more carbohydrates in that root system, so we have a better fuel tank. So in the fall, if you leave that full plant material out there, you'll have very good insulation, you'll have snow catch, you'll have cover, you might have some wildlife habitat if you're one of those guys, but you will have a lot of carbohydrates stored in that root system because you have a lot of photosynthetic factor and you've had time. If you cut your alfalfa and it freezes before it can grow more than 2 inches, you have stored and maintained a lot of energy in that root system, so you still have a pretty big fuel tank that's full. So those are the best two scenarios. So consider when you cut and how you can leave the plant looking like one of those two scenarios. If you're 8 inches tall, you've used as much carbohydrate from that root system as you can, and you're going to have a small little fuel tank, or if you can see that, there's less fuel in that tank. So the real answer to that is, if you can cut near a hard frost and basically have no regrowth, you're going to have a lot of carbs stored in the root system. If you cut in the middle of the month and you have about 15 days or 20 days worth of growth in the fall, and you have a short plant that didn't get to store much in the root, that's the worst case scenario in my mind. And you also take a risk with this guy that if you get a bunch of ice, it's going to smother that plant a lot worse than it will this big guy that you're going to leave over winter and have a big happy plant and catch some snow and insulate from anything like that. Keep some stems above the ice layer, that also helps as well. So quick message today is, there is no right or wrong answer of when to cut and when not to cut. If you can predict the weather and you can get past that stage and get something that looks like this with more photosynthetic factory to store in the root system and have a big fuel tank, you're in good shape. If you cut late and you don't have any regrowth and that energy stays in the root system, you have a good fuel tank. So don't be caught with half a tank. This is Jeff Jackson. Have a good day.